Nearly a century ago, a delightful little girl with radiant curls and a dazzling smile was born in Santa Monica, California. Her name was Shirley Jane Temple, and she would grow up to become one of the most beloved child stars in the world. But how did a little girl, from an ordinary family, end up becoming a movie star? It all started in the summer of 1931 when her mother Gertrude took her to a dance school. As the legend would later write in her memoir, titled Child Star, the proximity of Santa Monica to Hollywood provided an advantage for aspiring child dancers, but the notion of movie stardom would have seemed bizarre to Mother. However, when an opportunity finally presented itself later that same year, Gertrude became very interested. After all, any additional income was considered a blessing for families during the Great Depression. Shirley's rise to fame was meteoric and unprecedented. By the age of 6, she had become the biggest box office draw in America, a title she held for 4 consecutive years, from 1935 to 1938. Her golden curls, dimples, and that signature lisp became instantly recognizable around the world. But behind the charm and talent lay a complex reality that shaped her entire life. Shirley's stardom was meticulously engineered by Hollywood studios, particularly 20th Century Fox. Her mother, Gertrude Temple, played a major role in grooming her for fame, curling her hair into exactly 56 ringlets each night, training her expressions, and overseeing her behavior on and off set. The little legend's on-screen roles were curated to reflect innocence, sweetness, and optimism, traits Americans craved during the Great Depression. However, these roles didn't always reflect her actual maturity or depth, which often led to a disconnect between the real child and the one seen on screen. Shirley makes a raw confession in her 1988 memoir, stating that the films were a cynical exploitation of our childish innocence, and occasionally were racist or sexist. While other children were attending school, learning through play, or forming friendships organically, little Shirley was memorizing scripts, rehearsing dance numbers, and filming 6 days a week. Her work schedule was grueling by any standard, and she was often isolated from children her own age. Though she recalled many aspects of her career fondly, there were underlying consequences: a lack of personal agency, early exposure to adult dynamics, and an identity tied entirely to public performance. Her stardom brought material comfort and adoration, but it also placed enormous pressure on her to uphold a persona not entirely her own. When her popularity waned in her teenage years, as her audience struggled to accept her aging, the industry quickly lost interest. Shirley writes in her book that her career ended not because she lacked talent, but because she grew up, and Hollywood didn't know what to do with her anymore. The emotional and psychological impact of being America's little darling at such a young age is a key component of Shirley Temple's legacy. Unlike many child stars who later struggled with identity, addiction, or scandal, Shirley transitioned into adulthood with grace and dignity. But that too was hard-won. She had to redefine herself outside of her fame, eventually finding fulfillment in public service and diplomacy, an unusual and admirable trajectory that few other child actors have matched.